When I first watched the Lord of the Rings movies, one of the most impacting scenes I remember were the Rohan Rider charges, both in Helm's Deep and the Pelennor Fields. Today we're trying to recreate that for Middle-earth strategy battle game. Welcome to the Ride of the Rohirrim. The charge in Helm's Deep is the culmination of the Two Towers, finishing one of, if not the best battle scene in cinema history in my opinion. And even if there will be some inspiration there, the charge on the Pelennor Fields for me is just simply superior. The build-up of their trip for aid during the siege of Minas Tirith, the lighting of the beacons, Aragorn's departure, Eowyn and Merry joining in secret, all of it leading to the moment the horns of Rohan are heard and hope is kindled. I wanted to recreate and inspire in this as much as possible, so we will watch it together and see what I could do with the movies as reference.
Theoden, not Aragorn, was king of Rohan.
Of course we start with the king. His speech is one of the best moments in the movie and it always gives me the chills when I watch it. If not that I tear up. I had this model from the Pelennor Fields box set for weeks, and it laid assembled and primed on my desk for a couple months because I wanted to make justice to such an amazing character with the painting process. Nothing was done to him besides the normal assembly and painting, and I don't think anything should have been done. This sculpt is amazing as he is, and I really love it, even with as much as I think these new kits are not that enjoyable for me to put together. But for single characters like this one, I understand it more because the quality of detail is incredible. Same case here. He was also assembled and primed to then wait for 2 months until I was brave enough to paint the first King of Rohan during the 4th Age. I got him brand new in a second-hand Rohan battle host, and from the beginning I knew I wanted him to be performing his famous spear throw on the Pelennor. I think he turned out very good, and he is now ready to take his Eowyn down the left flank.
I am no man.
This one's a fun one because I got some Eowyn and Merry leftover pieces in an eBay job lot, so I decided to make my own using those pieces that I got and a spare rider. I inspired on the scene that Eowyn steals a sword from an orc and attacks a Mumak from beneath, so I thought it would be quite unique, easy to spot, and a fun process to do. The rider was repositioned further back on the horse to make space for Merry, and the right arm was swapped for the original Eowyn one. I used her helmeted head and shield on the back before swapping his left arm for another spare I had, to which I added a Morannon orc sword to recreate the mentioned moment in the movie. I know that in the movie the swords are in the opposite hands, but it was too hard to do. Once this was done, I placed the spare Merry on his position, only after I removed Eowyn's left arm that is wrapping around him, so it gives the sensation that he is the one leading the horse. I painted them like the other riders, changing the color of Merry's clothes and cloak so it will stand out, and here they are. In the movies we can see them scattered all over the charge with their long green clothes, ornamented helms and shields, so they needed to be part of this. These guys were actually made in a previous video from normal riders and some conversion bits, but they deserve to be here as well, guarding the king. Maybe I will need to make a green bolt someday to add to them, but let's not get ahead to ourselves. An army as large as this one needs a bunch of commanders, and I wasn't going to miss the chance on making some custom captains besides the name ones that I just. The first of them I chose him simply because his helmet looks very cool, and his pose made him stand out and look more commanding. Added some extra gold details on the painting, and he was ready. The second has a bit more story. I started the conversion and looking at my bits box, I had a leftover unhelmeted Eowyn head. So I said, what if I make a captain that looks like, or is inspired at least, Morwen from the 3rd Age video game. I played that game when I was a kid, and I thought it was a fun thing to do. So I gave her dual access, a quite striking pose, and I think she's ready to join the charge. Third, I used this rider that I converted with some big tricks bits and other captains, giving him a commanding pose looking like he's giving orders or commanding a charge, and painted some extra details on his shield in gold so it will stand out from the regular ones. Fourth and last, I actually took some inspiration from the Helm's Deep charge. There is this guy here that beheads the Uruk as he charges into the lines. So I decided to try to make something similar but for the Pelennor. First I worked on the pose of the rider with some parry and big tricks bits until the angle of the striking arm looked as I wanted it to, with some sculpting made with millipede in the joints and so on. After that I took a Morannon orc, I chopped his head and I repositioned it so it fits the moment that he has just been struck by the sword. It would have been cool to make it as with his head flying on the air like in the movie, but I didn't find a convincing way to do it, so I left it as is. I painted it like the others and added some more blood to the neck of the orc, and here it is. Such a big force needed at least a couple of banners to lead them, at least until I get my hands on Gambling and his royal banner, so I made my own here. I used some spearmen as base, to which I gave a longer spear from my bits box, and made some custom paper banners for them. In an eBay lot I got a sheet of original banner stickers from many years ago. I remember to have these as a kid. So I decided to use some of the designs in my banners. I cut them to the size and shape needed and pasted them to the banner, then painting around it so they would blend in well. The rest of details were then freehanded with a detail brush in white, gold and red, and here is the final result. I tried to replicate some of the motifs and designs that you see in the movies, characters, shields and decoration, for example in Meduseld, so I think they turned out quite well. At least I love them, and I'm very happy to use these old stickers in this way instead of having them laying around and becoming trash eventually. There was some riders in particular I wanted to recreate from the movies, just because I thought they looked cool and different, which helps giving them variety and character. First, we have this one with a long axe resting on his shoulder, so I used some bits I had left and extended the axe handle by using a spear arm, to which I glued the axe head. Besides that, I repositioned both arms so the pose will be more similar to the one in the movie, and he was ready. Second, I always like this guy that is raising his axe up while charging. I used a Danish axe from my Big Tricks pieces and repositioned him slightly so it would look as similar as I could. The almost standing pose he has on the horse was impossible to do with the Rohan rider, so I sat him down and I left him like that. Third, I wanted to pay respects to this absolute unit that is rushing at the end of the charge with his sword on the right hand. It was a matter of using some more Big Tricks bits and find a similar pose as the reference, and it was done. Fourth, I worked on some archers so their poses will look similar to the ones they have in their fight against the Mumakil, so I repositioned the angle of the bows, arrows and arms to follow the inspiration, as well as using the horses that, through my fixing process, that they were broken or so, putting them in more maybe dynamic angles so it will help to the overall aesthetic of the unit. And here you have all the riders together. We ended up with 10 archers, 10 spearmen and 10 with hand weapons. I wanted them all to feel as unique and different as possible, using the Big Trick Roman heads and weapons for variety, and trying to not repeat poses or painting schemes as much as possible. To add variety, I painted the shields in different shades of green and brown with white details, also making variations in the positioning of those shields between their arms, backs and hanging from horse straps. This project was spread on several weeks while alternating with others, so I wouldn't burn out from it. I assembled them all first, since I wanted to paint them together to keep the painting consistent. I think it is important to keep the focus shifting between projects, so I always have something to do that I feel motivated about, either assembling, converting, painting, vasing, and it has helped a lot keeping my workflow consistent and fun throughout these months, and I think I will keep it that way in the future. It is for sure the thing that is allowing me to bring you the videos I do and how often, because I feel that I always feel motivated to do whatever tasks I have at hand, and if I don't feel like one, I always have some other project to work on. But yeah, this is quite a special video for me since it is one of my favorite scenes in the trilogy, so I hope I made it justice. I wanted to release this video now since currently I am on holidays back at home in Spain, so I will be away from these projects for some weeks. I will come back to make other videos and such when I'm back to the routine, but until then I will leave you with this one. Please let me know if you have any ideas or suggestions in the comments and what you think about these guys. I'm very happy to see them all together in front of me, and I honestly cannot wait to make them a Pelennor Fields display for them in the future. Hopefully soon. I just wanted to mention before I finish the video that I'm extremely thankful about the community that we're starting to create here. It is by no means the biggest one in the internet, but for me it makes me very happy to see the comments, the positive feedback, or the negative if there has to be any, and the community that is creating around my videos, even small. It was very funny, and I was, it made me very happy. The other day I got 2 comments on my Ringlow Bale and Peanut Gellin video about from 2 of the persons that made the original Fiefdoms collaboration for Sorbasorb, and you guys don't imagine how happy it made me to see that those guys have seen my videos, because they were definitely an inspiration for me to come back to the hobby. Without finding those videos and what people was doing, it would have been very hard for me to come back after so many years, and these guys really light up the path. So if you're listening to this, I'm very thankful. I told you already in the comments, but I wanted to reiterate that it feels, it made me very happy when I saw that you guys like them, and hopefully you like what we're doing here. But yeah, I'll leave you here. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in a few weeks after this break, in which I will for sure charge batteries and come with more things for the channel. At least that's the plan. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. But I'll see you next time. Cheers!